On today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to install a power supply into your computer. So this might be helpful for anyone who just bought a pre-built and the power supply has died, or want to upgrade the existing power supply, or install the first power supply in the first computer they ever built. So the first thing you want to do is, of course, have the PC somewhere you can work on it, plenty of room. And you want to pretty much have it unplugged with no power. Make sure it's unplugged and the power's been off. So the next step, of course, will be to remove your front and back panels on your case. This gives you access to all your cables. So let's go ahead and remove these. So now once removed, you're going to need to unplug all your power connectors. Now you got one CPU power connector, usually up here in the corner. It will need to be removed. Your 24 pin will also need to be removed. And you have your GPU power. That will need to be unhooked from your board. Now usually that's the only power connectors that you have onto a motherboard. Sometimes you got another CPU plug that may or may not be plugged in. Now if you just installed one, you can go ahead and skip ahead a little bit, but for the ones that are removing the power supply, go ahead and unplug your GPU, your CPU, and your 24 pin. And then look and make sure you have no more power cables that may be going to your SSDs, hard drives. So let's go ahead and unplug the GPU, just like so. Unplug the 24 pin now. Just like so. Be gentle. You don't want to force them off. CPU pin also needs unplugged. Just like so. Now once everything is unplugged, you can turn the case around. Let's move this out of the way. This is a new power supply. This is the back of the case. You can see this is a pretty much CPU power connector right here. Let's go ahead and pull this through. Now you also might need something to cut your zip ties to if this has been cable managed, which this case has. So I'm going to have to get me a pair of fingernail clips or a little set of pliers to untie these. We now have this unplugged. Now the power supply is going to be messy. We have some Molexes here we have to unplug too. So go ahead and make sure those is all unplugged. Here's one in here to the hard drive cage. That will need to be unplugged also. So let's go ahead and get a 24 pin out. It just pulls through just like so, and get it untangled from the rest of your cables. So we got two. It's pretty well untangled. We do have, looks like, this little front USB panel here. Adapter. Then now we can pull that through. That's no biggie. And pull that through the hard drives. Got one SSD needs unplugged. Go ahead and unplug that too. Stretch all your cables out if you can, guys, and get them untangled. You can see most of us is untangled. Just like so. And you will be pretty much on wiring everything when you do this. So we pretty well got everything undone that's attached to everything. So let's go ahead and go to the next step, which will be removing the power supply bolts. A power supply in this NZXT case is here on the bottom. They are 4 screws. You will need to remove all 4 of these screws to pretty well unbolt your power supply. So now that the power supply is unbolted, we can pretty well scoot it out towards the front. Some of them come straight out with an adapter, but others comes out at an angle to the front here. We can pretty well unplug this guy too, just so it don't get in the way. And we don't do no damage to a SSD. So we pick up on this big bad boy, pull out. Our cable should be undone, unless we got a cable tied to somewhere. Let's make sure. Now if you have a module or power supply, you can pretty well unplug your cables. Makes it a whole lot easier. I'm showing you this just in case you got a fully modular one and you have to work with all the cables. But this is semi-modular, and I could unplug a lot of cables to make it a lot easier on myself. But we are just removing them all at the same time. And what you want to do is just take your time once it's out and untangle all your wires. You can see we got quite a bit of wires here, but by taking your time and unhooking everything as you go, you can see it's not as big a mess as it looks. I mean, it's pretty messy, I'll tell you that, but not as bad as what you would think. And the final result of all that cable management being undone is the Stummeltake 750 watt Tough Power XT. Now this is a beefy power supply. I ain't never had no trouble out of it. It works great, but I got a friend that basically needed a power supply, and you know, I'm going to put a 600 watt into this system. It'll be plenty enough to do what it does. I'm going to send him this. So now to install your power supply, it pretty much goes in the same way, and you will have the cable management. This is the EVGA right here. It's a 600 watt, and we're just going to shove this in here and see what we got. It goes in the same way. I got 4 screws already in this power supply. This is also a good power supply. It's been in a few computers. That's how come it's got the screws in it, guys. It's about to go back into a new home. So we go ahead and insert this. The fan goes down. You could put it up, but it's got its own little dust filter, so I like putting the fan down personally. Either way is fine. So we go ahead and install the bolts. So now once everything's bolted in, we can turn this back around and cable manage it. Cable management on this, pretty simple. We got a 24 pin. Let's feed this up and around. Try to do a little bit better job at cable managing this. So go ahead and feed this here. And some of this is going to go down into the bottom of this because we do got a, you know, kind of a mess. See what we got here. Got some fan connectors. So all these connected. This is a SATA. This is a RGB controller. Let's see. This is a Molexus. 2. This is a SATA. There we go. And this is a CPU. So we don't know what a CPU goes. Is it? PCIe. Nope, that's a PCIe, guys. This is a CPU and it'd be labeled. So let's go ahead and feed this and back up the way the other one was. Plug it in, make sure everything's good. And that leaves us with 2 more, which we can hook up here for another SSD and then clamp one in the bottom. Then you can tuck these out of the way. I'm just going to tuck these on top of the power supply for 2 reasons. I plan on adding another SSD here soon. The Molex. Now that will be for fans and accessories and stuff like that. And this is a GPU power. Basically we're just going to use this little RGB controller for the front. It's a Molex into a little controller here. That's a button. You mash the button, it makes a noise, and you can change the RGB. Now we've got that plugged in, we can pretty well shove everything back of where it came from. So I'm going to go ahead, everything's connected now, and shove everything back into place. We'll flip it around and connect everything. Now you might have to leave this a little loose on the back side and come back and tuck it in once everything's hooked up. Does that, and now we can pull this down here and basically take and shove it underneath. Give us better cable management. 24 pin, I done one here, it's up here. Let's go ahead and plug it in. Now we got that, let's do the CPU. So once you get everything cable managed, you can take your PC and plug it in and make sure everything is working the way it used to, or everything fires up for the first time. Just double check all your connections. So let's go check this out, see if it works. So let's see if everything works. We've got power, we've got keyboard, everything hooked up. I actually got my controller here for the RGB for this that we hooked up earlier in the video, so I can adjust it to where I want it. No power. Well, don't panic. You probably forgot to turn it on in the back. We got power. Fans is working. We have a video out, guys. So that's pretty much got this video. If you enjoyed watching and you found it helpful, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and of course I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.